this particular topic of relationship management. Yes, this is nothing new. When we talk about relationship management, always relationships have been a great advantage to all of us, and especially in country like India. I think nobody can understand better the relationship as far as maintaining, continuing, and helping each other through this relationship. I think India is an excellent example because we are very much connected to our roots. And in India, if you are, meeting somewhere someone who is not known to you, and I'm sure if you start chatting in 5 minutes, there'll be at least two, three, four common people who will be knowing each other, and that is the connectivity in India. Because still we are still connected with our roots, maybe from wherever we are, maybe from Mumbai, maybe from Gujarat, Maharashtra, wherever, and we try to connect each other very fast. And this is what is the advantage. In many Western countries, we have been told that the neighbors, they don't know each other for years together. Here we not only know the neighbors, we know whole families of neighbors. And especially in city like Mumbai, those who are living here in for many years, they would be knowing maybe whole lane or maybe whole suburb. That is the relationship which in Mumbai we have been maintaining. And for us, this is not a new thing. But what is new for us is now there is a different way of maintaining that. Because as the things are growing, there is a lot of difference which is coming in. The generations are being changing. Earlier generation, maybe my father and my grandfather, how they were maintaining, how I am maintaining the relations, how my next generation is maintaining the relations. The way of maintaining the relations are different. The way of life is changing because there are so many things which are in front of us. This internet. Maybe I am sitting at the chambers office. Each one of you are sitting at different places, and maybe few office bearers are here, few participants are here, and all of us are interacting. I think this was never even thought of before March 20. When COVID started, I think none of us were prepared for all sorts of things. But this is how we adapted the change very fast, and therefore the maintaining of these relations, the format is being changing, and we'll see. What are the things which are required, why this is so important today, how this gap is being created, how these different generations are there, what are different type of people with whom we have to maintain the relations. Maybe it could be professionals, it could be domestic, and so many other relations which we come across on a very daily basis. So if I see maintaining of relations, one is seniors. That is where where as I said, maybe our seniors, it could be at personal level or at a professional level. Then there are peers. Maybe my our own people who are there with us. Maybe again same. It could be professional or it could be personal. And then juniors, again the same thing. It could be at a professional. It could be at the home. It could be at my personal level. So these are the various relations which I suppose which we have to maintain at different level. So if I see the family, first is the seniors and maybe the juniors. Peers, yes, also important. But why I'm selecting the seniors and juniors first is that maybe peers would be slightly easier, but seniors and juniors, because of the great changes which are happening all across, it is a great challenge for all of us to adapt to that change. No doubt, all professionals we are, and we are very excellent at adapting to the change. If I see the example of we professionals, how we started our journey when the computerization started, somewhere in 2000, I think 7, 8, 9, when MCA 21 started. I think everything was in a mess, and then we were used to that. And then thereafter, one after another, computerization started, digitization started. Initially, huge problems, and gradually, you have forgotten all that problems. We have adapted. We have given a lot of inputs, and then we have been now adapting to the change very fast. The very recent one is the GST, and thereafter the income tax returns, the new software. But yes, we have adapted the change, and the challenges which were coming initially, I think that challenges are not there nowadays. So this whole change which is happening in the family, that is at the personal level, I call it as a generation gap, And here I am putting a slide, maybe earlier what has happened is, maybe many of us, the pants which we are wearing is see the waist where we are wearing, and the current generation the waist which they are wearing, which is I think common all across, and therefore this difference I call as a generation gap. This is on a lighter side. So, but this is a fact, where we means I'm talking about my generation or maybe my earlier generation, the waste and what today's generation. So this is how the things are happening. So if if we want to hear music, this is how we were hearing the music. Today, this is what is used for hearing the music. If I talk about watching the film, this is how we were talking about watching the film. Today, this is how the watching of film is been done. If I want to chat, I think we used to do this telephone conversation, whereby I think all of us remember, earlier there was no time limit, and we used to chat and chat and chat on telephone, and then suddenly there was a time limit, that there would be 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and then the meter would start, and then thereafter mobile came, and then mobile, earlier it was I think 16 rupees per minute. That was I think I remember somewhere in 96. This was the rate, and we used to chat at that point of time, and gradually how the changes have happened. And today the chatting means only this and nothing else. So news, if I want to read the news, I would go for the newspaper. Many of us still go for that physical newspaper, though there are a lot of e-newspapers available. But we are still comfortable with our traditional physical newspapers. But today, the generation, again uses mobile. If I talk about playing of music, many of us, Vijay Bhai sitting next to me, he's an expert in playing music. He knows, many instruments and vocal, and that is how we enjoyed playing music. Again, today, if I see the generation is using mobile for playing music. Similarly, if I want to go shopping, I would prefer go physically for shopping. But if I see the current generation, everything was mobile. Each one of us must have been facing this. Daily there are people coming from Amazon and Flipkart and so many things, and they come for pickup and they also come for dropping. So if you are happy, you keep it. Otherwise, you're not happy, you return it. I think most of our generation people are not very much comfortable and used to it, but younger generation is doing that. But I'm telling you all is this is what is the change which is happening, and this change is very very fast. When we talk about generation, maybe in earlier days, generation gap was for maybe 25 years, which gradually has come down to maybe 15 years, 10 years, and today, even if 7 years, if a brother and sister or two siblings are having a gap of 7 years, there is a generation gap. The younger one would tell the elder one, "You are from older generation. You will not understand what it is," and that is happening all across. I'm sure each one of us must have, visualized that, experienced that. So this is what the olden days used to happen: music, film, chatting, reading news, playing music. Today it is only mobile. Everywhere it is only mobile. I remember, currently we are into that football mode. Today most of us are nowadays watching football. When we were younger, if I want to play football, this would come to my mind. I would say, okay, chalo football khelna hai, to aise football khelenge. Today, if you see, if I talk about playing football, this is what is how the football is played today. Everything going on electronic. And in younger days, I remember, the punishments were also slightly different. So if in younger days, if we did something wrong, our seniors would say, lock him in the room. And, that was the punishment. We used to have a very sad face because we were used to go out and play, in the outdoor. And therefore, making ourselves locking in the room was a punishment for us. But today, if I see with punishment is a question mark, if I put him in a room which is and lock it, I see the facial expression of this kid. He's happy. Okay, yeah, please lock me, because the reason is this. Okay, this is what it is. People, the children, the younger generation is absolutely connected with the screen, one screen after another, and thereafter the third screen. Only electronics. That is how the things are happening. So whether this is punishment or not, no, this is not punishment for them. Maybe for the older generation, it was punishment. This is how the changes are happening, and these changes are not only for us. Even the birds and animals have been changed. All of us know the story of crow, where the crow wanted, he was thirsty and he wanted to drink water, but that water was deep in the pot. So he used his brain and he caught one stone, put it in the jar, and gradually the water level came up and he drank the water. So that was the old generation crow. Today's generation crow, what they will do? Why you require all these stones? Take a straw and easily drink the water. So that is how the things are changing. And why I'm telling all this is this generation gap is one of the major reason of our relationships, where because we still maintain and try to have our own thought processes, our perceptions, our way of living, our way of thinking. The younger generation today is not that gracious, where they'll accept our things as it is. They want everything logic. Anything we talk about, they require questions, and they require logical answers for that. And therefore, the relationships are short. And we try to see that, we try to explain them, and we try to say that this is what it has to be done. This is how it has to be done. So during the course of our discussion, I'll try to address various practical issues which come in our day-to-day life at the personal level and at the professional level. So I'll just show one picture for a small while and just leave it. That's all. I'll not tell anything about that picture right now. We'll take this picture slightly, later. This is a picture, and I'm not doing anything on that. So I'll just, once again show this picture. Okay, fine. I'm sure each one of you have seen the picture. If no, just see it. And again, I'm going back. So now, if we talk about the various reasons of this gap which is there in communication, in relationship, in understanding, in perceptions, egos, our expectations, there are various reasons for why these things are not happening, and why the relations, and what are the issues coming in our relationships. So I've tried to build up some pointers. Not necessary I'll go to that pointers point by point. I'll just touch upon as a pointer, and maybe I'll also try and give some solutions in general, and then we will talk in general, that putting all these things together, how we can improve our relationships, how we can maintain and improve. So the reasons which I have noted, there could be various other reasons also, but what comes to my mind is lack of trust, understanding gap, perceptions, difference in perceptions, our ego, our dominating nature, communication gap, expectation gap. And in my opinion, the solutions maybe are this 5A: acceptance, affection, appreciation, approval, and attention. 3Cs: communication, compromise, commitment, and 3Ps: positivity, patience, and polite. So just going back and trying to talk about the reasons which are there. So I think the trust is something which is absolutely required. If I don't trust anybody, I will not say truth. And if I don't say truth, probably my relations are hampered. So this is where the trust is very important, and this lack of trust will give lot of suspicion, and because of suspicion it will generate anger, and that calls enmity, and that may result into break of the relations. So once it so happened, a telephone operator narrated this story to someone, that there was a call for her, and she just picked up a call, and she said, public utility board, and there was absolutely silence on the other side. So she said public utility board, PUB. Again, there was absolutely silence. So she was about to disconnect the phone, and then she heard a lady's voice, which says that, oh, so this is PUB. Sorry, I got this number from my husband's pocket yesterday, so I was just wondering what is this pub. Now just imagine, there was absolutely, because there was no trust, this could have been very easily asked by the wife to her husband, that what is this pub, and probably things would not have been the way this were. And just imagine if the lady on the other side, that is the operator, if she were just pick up the phone and say hello, 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 nobody answering, and just dropping the receiver back, what misunderstandings would have been done. So the trust is something which is absolutely important if I want to maintain the relations. We'll see during the course of the that how this trust can be maintained, how we have to trust, and how we can develop on that. The second is understanding gap. So the understanding gap is something where the people do not understand the other's perspective. That is even the next point. We are talking about the perception. Now what happens is, if I can understand that why a particular person is saying something, or why is behaving in some manner, probably it would be easier for me and him both to understand that what is happening. Now what happens is, without understanding, we start judging people. And once we start judging people, we really develop a lot of misunderstandings of that person, and that will hamper in developing and maintaining the relations. And therefore, generally we should not try and judge people immediately, and try to first understand people. Otherwise what happens is, we start judging people, and we just make some thought process of that particular person. Like once Gautam Buddha was talking to people, and he called for a handkerchief, plain handkerchief, and then he started having the nods, one after another, one after another, one after another. And then he tried to explain people about this understanding. He said, what are we doing? We are just our mind is generally like a plain handkerchief, but we start judging people and misunderstanding people, and therefore we put a knot. Okay, this person is like this person is like that, this person is like that, and then our relationship is at a stake. So now what to do if I want to understand people? So the question which the Gautam Buddha asked to public at large, that what should be done? The answer is very simple: untie the knots which you have done. Right. So how do I do that? Actually, first I have to go to the knot first, and go to the root of the knot, and then try to understand that why and how this knot is there, and then unknot. So same way, when I am understanding or I'm misunderstanding people, and if I have to remove that, probably I have to first go into deep with the relationship of that person, try to understand who is that person, why he's behaving like this, or what it is, and then maybe I can have that knot untied. So maybe this is one of the way where all of us can really understand the other person. I think perception. This is absolutely very crucial in our relationship. Uh, I would just, when I'm talking about perception, I will just take you to the picture which was originally I had shown one picture. This is the picture I had shown, and now see this. So now many of you must have seen this as a frog, right? Picture is not changing, nothing is changing. Just see, you if you see from a different direction. Now do any of you see horse in this, right? So whether it is frog or it is horse, it is perception. Somebody will say it is horse, somebody will say it is frog. Now this perception, if I go by these perceptions, and people those who have must seen as a horse, if they start saying that no, this is horse, and people who have seen frog, they would have seen that it is frog. Who is right? Both are right, correct? From the way you are looking at it. I'll give one more example of this. All of us in our physics lecture somewhere, we have done some practicals in 8th or 9th standard, where there was a prism which was there kept near the window, and a sunlight used to come from that window, passing through that prism, and all of us were made stand, in that table which was there. I'm sure each one of us must have done that. And then many of us would see different colors. Some would see violet, some would see orange, some would see yellow. I'm sure each one of you must be now remembering, recollecting that. Now tell me one thing. Now person who is seeing yellow is on the other side of the table. I'm seeing orange, I'm on this side of the table. On this side of the table, somebody is seeing violet. Now each one is seeing different color. There's only one situation. Everything is one. Then how it is possible that these people can see different colors? And if these people are seeing different colors, and I said I am seeing orange, and then I start telling the person who is seeing violet or who is seeing yellow, I said, you don't know anything, I am only right, you don't know anything. What is your reaction to that? What is your response to that? Actually, all these people are right, because going to that particular place and looking from that particular angle, the person is right. I think this is what is the perception. So once you go to the other's shoes and see from his shoes, probably always we will feel that other person is right. I think this perception, if we try and understand, I think many of our misgivings or our wrong understanding of people, our egos, so many things would be going down if we understand this. I also remember one story. In younger days, I think all of us must have read this story of five not blind people, but people who are having strip at the eyes, and they were left with an elephant, and each person was given at the different locations. So somebody touched the leg, somebody touched the tail, somebody touched the ears. Each person touched different thing, and then they made their own perception of what is the thing what they are touching. Like somebody said, the person who is touching the leg, he said maybe it is a tree or it is a big lamp post or something like that. The person who is touching the tail, he said it is a rope, and so on and so forth. So each person has his own perception. Now the person who is looking at all these things with open eyes, he knows this. Each and every person who are talking this, they are talking with their experience, with their perception. If I open the eyes of everybody, everybody would realize that yes, what I was thinking was my perception and I'm not right. Correct. But looking at what situation they are into, probably they are right. So what happens is that person unfolds the blind which is there on the eyes, and each one sees, oh my god, this is elephant and I was wrong. But the perception which they had was based on the situation which they were into. They were in the situation where one person was only touching the tail. So he says, yes, it is the rope. So now in this sort of cases, how do we really maintain our relationship? I think it is when the perceptions are different, when the opinions are different. I think it is very easy to understand how to deal with this sort of situations. Some practical tips on this sort of situations, and this is one of the major issue in our relationship, and how do we manage this issue. So whatever is the differences, his perception, my perception, fine. So either I will start convincing him, or he starts convincing him, right? So I convince him, or he convinces me. So if I convince him, naturally we agree, and therefore there is an agreement. If I am not able to convince him, he will convince me, and if I am convinced, again there is an agreement. Now, if both of us are very, very firm on whatever is our thought process, even then we can come on an agreement. And what would be that agreement? Agreement on disagreement. So we agree that, okay, we disagree on this particular whatever thing is there, and therefore agreement is there for all the three situations. If I convince him, there is an agreement. If he convinces me, there is an agreement. If both of us are not convinced, but then there is an agreement that we agree on disagreement. And see how beautifully I can really easily maintain my relation. But see the other situation for that. Both of us first start fighting on that. That no, only I am right. The other says only I am right. Whether my relations would continue with that person, or the relations would be spoiled. Natural relations would be spoiled. So there could be various such examples where in day-to-day life I can really do this formula of either I am convincing him, or he is convincing me, or we agree on disagreement. Simple examples. This is a very common example which is there in most of the houses. The generation, that is the father and son, they are into a common business, or they have some common things. Father is doing the business the way he's doing for years together. New blood. Son comes in and he says, the business has to be done in this way. Business has to be, this is how the business requires to be done. And naturally, there is chatmak happening. So daily there is a problem. Father says, no, business has to be done like this. For last 40 years I am doing like this. What you know about the business? The son said, sir, you are doing it for dad, you are doing for 40 years. But at that point of time, the current information which is there was not there with you. I have internet. I have so many sources where I'm able to see around the globe how the businesses are done. I've been educated for this, and therefore this business has to not to be done in this way, but this has to be done in this way. Now, when we talk about this particular issue, one very important factual thing: we are cleverer than our earlier generation. I think universally all of us would agree, right? That my father, my mother would always say, yeah, you are cleverer than us. Similarly, what we say is our children are cleverer than what we are. Their children are cleverer than what they are. And I think this trend is always there, that the current generation is cleverer than the earlier generation. And this is happening in generations to generation. I'm sure each one of us would agree to that. Right now we are on E mode. Otherwise, I would have taken an opinion, and I'm sure I've spoken on this topic a number of times, and this opinion is 100%. Nobody would say that the current generation is not cleverer than the earlier generation. Always that is acceptable, that the current generation is cleverer than the earlier generation. If all of us agree to that, now I come to this sort of situations where the current generation has a difference of opinion with the earlier generation. What do I do? Actually, first I will try and logically convince the next generation that this is the correct way of doing things, maybe for various reasons, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. At the same time, be open and listen to the next generation. What are their arguments for whatever belief they have? We may agree, we may not agree, we may be convinced, we may not be convinced, but try to have this with an open mind. And gradually, we will realize that probably they have logic in their arguments. And as we say that they are cleverer than us, that is, the next generation is cleverer than the earlier generation, let the next generation take a call, do the activities in their way, right? Now, naturally, what happens is in all this, relationship is that right from the childhood, we are being giving best of the training to our next generation. We go for the best school, we go for the best tuition, we go for the best classes, we go for the best colleges, and then best course, everything, first class. Then computer, if he wants a computer, we'll buy him best of the laptop. Internet, connection, no, we don't want 2G and 3G, we'll go for 4G, 5G आया तो 5G दिलाएंगे. Whatever hardware, software, all infrastructure, we'll try and give him the best. The idea is that we want that the next generation should be thinking independently. When he goes out in the world, he should stand and he should, be in such a manner where he would have an independent thinking, he would take his own decisions, and that is how we have equipped him, we have prepared him, and now he's prepared. And now suddenly we have, made all these efforts to make him an independent thinker. And then when he starts thinking on his own, we immediately start coming and telling, no, you don't know anything. 40 years we have been doing like this, 30 years we have been doing like this, 25 years we have been doing like this. Then why did you taught him all these things? Why did you give all this infrastructure? Now he has started applying his mind. Let him apply his mind. There could be only two things that can happen. Either he can be successful or he could be a failure. I don't think there could be a third situation in that. In that case, in both the cases, you are the winner. How? Now, Samjo, for example, whatever he wants to do, he does it and he is successful in that. Naturally, as seniors, all of us would be happy that yes, the next generation is doing something great and we'll be happy. So, naturally, you are winner. Let us understand, or let us have a presumption, the second situation where this particular next generation is failed, right? Now, when he is failed, naturally he will do his own analysis, and he would understand that my seniors were telling me that don't do this. In spite of this, I did that. Now, somewhere he will feel, now my seniors, the experience which they have got is something absolutely great, and the respect for you would go up tremendously. Again, you are winner, because otherwise you would send him for some MBA or something with giving lakhs of rupees fees, and here you are giving him some freedom, trying to do something different. Maybe he will make some loss of few lakhs of rupees. Just treat it that as a fees, where you are giving that fees for training him, and there is a win-win situation for you in both the situation, whether he succeeds, whether he loses. So therefore, try and change your mindset to maintain that relations, and just see, when you do this, your relations with your next generation would be excellent in both the cases, whether he wins or whether he loses. Because if he wins, naturally all of us are happy, whole of the team is happy. If he loses, at least he will realize the respect. He knows that his seniors are not just full, they have a lot of experience, and based on that experience, they are guiding him. So next time, whenever there is an issue, he will come to you with the issue and take your guidance with, and not only take, he will consider it appropriately, and probably he will start believing in you, he will start obeying. I think if that is the case, I think your relationships would be so strong. We really would be appreciating that relationship. Now, just let us understand this particular relations, that what I'm talking, where I'm not able to, convince. So how do I do that? So one of the thing, in the solutions which I've said is communication. So how do I communicate? When this sort of differences are there between any of the my peers or my seniors or my juniors, how do I do that? Simple. We should start, for whatever issues are there, have some debate on that, some discussion on that. First we start, all of us are used to for this study circle discussions. So somebody has one view, somebody has a different view, and then we start understanding each other's views. We have a debate, right? And what happens in this sort of thing is, where you have a discussion, where you have debate, and then what we have seen practically in this sort of situations, where this discussion and debate gradually goes into argument. So gradually this would go into argument. So first is discussion, debate, argument, and this argument would gradually move to the heated argument. And when it goes to heated arguments, then it is not what is right, then it is who is right. And then there comes this ego, where you feel that what the hell is talking about, my ego is hurt, then what is right is out. Now who is right? And when this argument shifts from what is right to who is right, we can never have solutions. Always the relations will go down. So when this sort of things are happening, I think internally when we start a discussion, we should agree on one thing, that when we start this discussion, let it go to debate, let it go to arguments. Once we feel that it is going to a heated arguments, we should stop there and say, okay, fine, let us stop here. We'll start this again, maybe after a day or maybe after few time, and then restart this again process of discussion, debate, argument. And very clearly when we sit, there are some rules when we sit on this. That is, first is that what will be the time limit. So this is a time limit. Then also all of us who are sitting in this discussion debate, they have to sit with an open mind, that I would hear the other person's thoughts, I would consider it with an open mind, and if required, if I am to surrender something, I would surrender. So at times when I feel I'm wrong, I think I should be honest. I said, okay, fine, I am wrong and I'm accepting. If I'm having a doubt whether this side or that side, but let me accept if everybody is saying. So I become wise, right? So when I know I'm wrong, I have to become honest. I know if there could be this or that, and I accept it since everybody is saying, I become wise. At times I would feel that no, I am right, but in spite of that, seeing the situation, I may have to give up, because I have to understand that winning the argument may lose my relationship, and I have to give the importance on what, whether to win the argument or whether to maintain the relationship. So these few rules, if are there at back of our mind, probably what we would be doing is, we would be able to convince the other person very easily, or we will be convinced, and thereby our relations would be maintained. Now if this is not happening for whatever reason, maybe both the or both the views are so strong, so as we already discussed, let us have agreement on disagreement, and then there could be coexistence of both the teams. And this coexistence is very important. Coexistence, when I talk about coexistence, means I accept that yes, there is a difference of opinion, and therefore my mental peace would not be disturbed. It is not tolerance. If something I'm not accepting it and I have to go for it, it becomes tolerance. Now this is not tolerance. This is coexistence. That there are two views, both the views could be right, and we agree that we are agreeing on disagreement. Therefore, there is a coexistence. Automatically, the relationships which we talk about will not be going from bad to worse. It will be maintained because we have already agreed. And believe me, in most of our relationships, 95% of the time we agree with each other. Only this 5% time we disagree. And if this disagreement, if we treat the way we have discussed right now, I think the relationship will never spoil. But if we do not do that, and if we try and concentrate, focus on that 5% of disagreement, we will forget that 95% of our agreement. And for that 5% of disagreement, our relationship spoils. Right? There could be n number of examples, like say for example, in current your household, your office, there are so many new things which are happening. And like in household, I mean, the older generation would always feel that going out and eating out is not the correct way, of the food outside is not good. And the current generation is so frequent, having that outside food for them is a very normal thing. Maybe in the older generation would not have that. So once or twice a week, going and eating out is a new normal for the younger generation. The older generation would always feel, no, outside food is not good, the oil is not good, and so on and so forth. It is unhealthy, and therefore there is a lot of problems between the generations on this small aspect. Now, just I'm giving an statistics. Say in whole of the year, how many times we eat food? Daily 3 times. So if I say 365 days multiplied by 3, it would be, for a sake of convenience, I'm taking it 1,000 times. So we have 1,000 meals in a year. Now, in 1,000 meals in a year, what is that this younger generation would like to, have an outside food, which we as a senior generation would not accept? Maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. So that would be what? 50, 100. So if 100 times in 1,000 in 1,000 times where we eat, if 100 times somebody is going out, what is the percentage? 90% is what we are wanting. They are doing the same thing. Only 10% is what is the difference. Now just take that, for the 10%, daily we have fight. Daily we have a difference of opinion. And what we do is we start spoiling our relations for that 10%. And again, let us understand that we have already agreed that the younger generation is cleverer than our generation. I'm sure they must be taking all the parameters which you have in the mind, and what you have in mind may be wrong, because maybe in your time the things were not so hygienic, they're not so healthy. Today it could be healthy, they are finding some healthy options, we don't know. There could be a costly options, but today the younger generation is, spending is not a problem for them. Maybe the older generation had that spending problem. They believed in, savings. Today people don't believe in savings. So whole the thought process has changed, and let us accept that. And what we are talking about, just 10%. So what 10%, should I start fighting and spoil my relation, and that 90% where we are in agreement is all in vain? Just think differently, think positively. And once we start thinking positively, there will be huge number of incidences where we would start feeling that if we think differently, I think that things would be really different. And here at times, as I said, when we talk about the discussions, the arguments, the heated arguments, that ego of ours, that comes, that how I can be wrong, and this ego kills a lot. And even if we realize that I was wrong, that ego of ours does not allow us to accept that I was wrong, to really go and apologize that yes, I was wrong. Whatever level, it could be your seniors, it could be your peers, it could be your juniors. If you find out that yes, you were wrong, maybe not at that point of time, later on, if you find out, have this particular ego, keep out of it, and then yes, say yes, you are right. I'm extremely sorry for whatever I've done, whatever I've behaved, and then just see how the relations are, absolutely again bonded. And this will really help a lot. Don't dominate when we talk about relationship. Relationship, when we talk about, we have to treat person at par. There could be a hierarchy. There could be boss. There could be a subordinate. There could be mother, father, son, grandson, whatever. There could be hierarchy. But in the current situation, if we try to dominate, we will always be not an acceptable personality. No doubt, if you are senior, because of your seniority, the person may not speak against you, but heart in heart, he will not be against you. So, whenever that difference of juniority, seniority goes, then because of your nature of domination, you will not have good relations with that person. Excuse me. And when this sort of things happen, I think your domination, your ego, this will be a great hurdle for maintaining your relationship. When I talk about relationship, this were few professional relationship also, some family relationship also, domestic relationship also, personal relationship also. One very important, relationship in Indian scenario could be the relationship of one was our father and son, other could be mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. This is in Indian scenario. These relationships are very very crucial, and the receiving end probably at most of the time is the son who will have to be doing a balancing act with the wife and mother, and there would be a lot of problems which he has to face. Now what happens in Indian scenario, I'm trying to give some practical examples and practical things which I have seen in the practical life. Today we in India, girl education is something which is very very acceptable, and the girls keep on studying. In the olden days, the marriage life, the marriage age of girl was on a lower side. Now the girls are studying, and parents, the families are also allowing them to study, and because of this, the concentration is only and only of studies because of the huge competition. In the olden days, what was happening was the studies was not very important, not very competitive for girls, and therefore along with the studies, the domestic work which was there was automatically learned by the girls in the olden days. Today the concentration is on the studies, and therefore so many domestic things which otherwise were learned are not being learned. Now this is universal. I think most of the Indian, at least I would say in metros, this thing is very common now, that the girls studying absolutely in a grade. Even if we see our CA profession, gradually if we see more and more girls are coming in the chartered accountancy profession, any profession, the female representation is much more. Now what happened because of this particular, the domestic training which was happening earlier, somewhere there is no time available for that, and then thereafter in Indian culture, generally whatever is the profession, whatever is the career, but the marriage happens, and still generally the girl goes to the boy's house. This is generally which is happening, and then at that point of time, this mother-in-law daughter-in-law things start. Mother-in-law feels that the daughter-in-law should be knowing everything. Why? Because why I came in this house, I was knowing everything. I was, knowing cooking. I was knowing how to, take care of house and how to take care of helps and whatever. I was expert. And this girl who has been very recently married, she is not knowing anything. Now see the difference. Now this is true for all the girls. So even the mother-in-law's daughter is in the same bracket because she was also studying. She was also did not have time to go into all that things. And suddenly, when the daughter-in-law comes, this particular thing is never taken care of. That even the daughter-in-law was daughter somewhere, as your daughter was not having time for going and learning so many domestic things. This daughter-in-law who was daughter in her house, she did not have a time. And believe me, the current children, as we have discussed earlier, the boys and girls, they are very sharp. You give some proper time and they will pick up, catch up everything. This is but you have to give some time to them, give some training to them, and be with them. You try to understand, because that understanding gap should not be there. See their perspective, see their way of living, see their style of functioning, because they would believe that the things not necessarily has to be done the way you are doing it for last 60 years. They have a different style of doing it. And also for the younger generation, they have to understand that for last 60 years somebody is doing the way he is doing, and suddenly if you are wanting to change, this change cannot happen immediately. And this generation, both of them, they have to give some time to both of them, understand each other, and then thereafter be ready to change. And this is from both the sides. Little change here and little change there, coming to somewhere in between, and see all your relations would be excellent. So try and see that your whatever this domestic relations, if you be little bit open, little bit understanding, leave little bit ego, try to understand each other. And this I'm talking about both the generations, and then see how difference it can make. It could be really wonderful relationships, right? Another is communication. Very unfortunately, in Indian culture, this communication is either not there or it is one-way communication. And this communication, you don't have any formal session for the communication. I would suggest, be it office, be it your residence, personal and professional forum, wherever, give some proper time for the communication. So if I go for the professional front, in professional front, maybe my seniors, my juniors, my peers, let me have communication with them. My customers, my suppliers, do we ever give some time to understand what are their issues, what are their problems? We only start this when there is a problem, and when there is an SOS requirement, we start blasting. Why don't we have periodical meetings at the professional level, at the personal level, and just have a chit chat, communication on what are the issues involved in our day to day life. In professional, it is professional life. In your personal, it is your personal life. And once you start communicating, again the rules which were there when we talked about agreement, disagreement, convincing each other, I think that rules have to be there. So let there be discussion, let there be debate, let there be argument. Don't go up till the heated argument. Once that heated argument is there, stop that issue, take another issue, or get up, have a cup of tea, do something else. After 1 hour, again sit back and continue that communication. This sort of communication will really help a lot in building relationship, because automatically the trust will be built. Automatically that understanding between each other will come. The perceptions will be evaporated. Egos will come down. There will be no domination. And understanding would be something of absolutely great. And this will help in building up the relationships. expectation gap. This is one of the major cause of worry in both domestic as well as professional, personal as well as, because most of the time we just keep the expectations without telling somebody that this I expect out of you this, and we always have an understanding that other person should understand what is my expectation, and because that expectations are not matched, there's difference of understanding and the difference of perceptions, and the problems start and the relationships go from good to bad to worst, and then at times it stops. So this expectation gap, especially if you know, if I go on the personal front, what I'm told is in few of the communities there are some courses which are been done and a certificate has been issued that this course has been undergone. What is this course? And this is pre-marriage counseling, where the bride, the bridegroom, bride's mother, father, bridegroom, mother and father, they all have to undergo a course whereby they have been taught the expectations, that what you should expect from a newly married girl, from a boy. The girls and boys are taught what they should expect from the mother-in-law and father-in-law, and thereby they are being trained by the professionals, and once they are trained they get a certificate, and once that certificate is there, automatically people anticipate that yes, this would be the expectation and this is how I have to behave, and automatically since the expectations are known, therefore you don't have that unexpected results. The results are expected results, and that relationship which we are talking about, that relationship would be maintained, right? And therefore in this sort of situations, it becomes very important, if at all we have these sorts of seminars, study circle meetings, the meetings with suppliers, the meetings with customers, if possible, try to have smaller meetings, one-on-one meetings, whereby you can really pinpoint that each person where is the problem. Similarly, at our personal front, let us have a smaller meetings, maybe small group of 4 people in house. You can have a very periodical meeting. You say every fourth Saturday we'll have a meeting, we'll have lunch together, 4 hours we'll do nothing, just chit chat what is happening, and again the rules will be followed, the rules which we have discussed, and see so many things come out. Very importantly, be open minded. So both generations or all the generations have to be open minded, that yes, there could be issue. Even a small kid of maybe 15 years, he can give you an excellent suggestion that yes, here is something which is required at our house, and this is what is the problem, this is how we can work on. There could be n number of problems. And I would suggest, why not having these things with our juniors at times. Like all of us are professionals. I have observed, when you have this meetings with your juniors, they give excellent suggestions, because actually speaking, they are working at the grassroots level, and when they are working at the grassroots level, they know where the shoe is pinching, and when they communicate with you that sir, these are the problems, naturally your expectation will go down, because you know that okay, what I'm expecting from that is not correct, and because of whatever things are being done, why the mistakes are happening, and at what professional front, because of this I am expecting something and they are delivering something, these are the reasons, and because of this my relationships with my subordinates as well as with my clients both are getting problems, because I'm not being able to serve my client the expectations which are there, because of these ABC problems which are told by my juniors, and you get fantastic solutions for that. So why not have this sort of communication with your juniors? If I go on domestic front, now all of us have house helps, and most of the people in Bombay have they have a one buy working for four houses, four households, and just she comes and finishes their her household work and goes. And just you at times, many times, you are not satisfied, what she is doing. This is not working, this is not. Now just imagine her situation. Go to her thing. Maybe she's waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, preparing tiffin for her husband, her children, dropping her children to school, and then coming maybe at 8 o'clock your house, maybe at 10 o'clock somebody else is out, 12 o'clock somebody else again, then going for tiffin to the school children where she's having to go, then again coming in afternoon, doing some 3 4 houses, again going to the school to pick up their children, and whole days he's been slogging like anything. And then naturally there will be some fallacy, some flaw, something would remain, and you start shouting for that small work which is remaining or which is not done properly. Just imagine whether your relations would be okay with her. Always she would be trying to say, ye ghar mein bahut kach kach hai. Right? Why? Because we are not trying to understand that, see her situation. If we try and understand her situation, maybe your small things will ignore. We know, yeah, this lady is getting at 5 o'clock and continuously working for so many houses and so many things, and simultaneously also working for her children, working for her husband, and so many responsibilities at a time. So if some small problem or some from small fallacy, flaw is there, let it go. Once you let it go happen, and just tell her very very calmly and coolly that, okay, see, this is what was happened, see that next time it should not happen. Probably the reception would be different, the relations would be different, and maybe at that point of time she will point out that, yes, I had some mistake, I had some problem, I had some tensions, and therefore this happened. Maybe once you understand that, your relationship automatically would be absolutely great with this sort of your juniors. Same is the thing with our office. Maybe we don't know, when we start firing our juniors. First, let us understand, if somebody comes late, we immediately start shouting. Why you are coming late? You are coming so and so. First, understand why they are coming late. There could be some genuine reason for coming late. And if you regularly shout for that, maybe what would be your image? And our image is really built up onto altogether, in a different manner. So we should try and see how we join people, that is, connect people, see, understand their difficulties, instead of trying to cut them, ye tera ye galat hai, wo galat hai. So you are cutting your relationships instead of bridging the gaps. So your reputation, your relationship will always be at a problem. Once it so happened that there was a tailor who was doing a lot of work of tailoring, and once his son, a very young son, 12 13 14 years old, he, in his vacation, he wanted to just observe how his father is working as a tailor. So he just went there and saw, and he saw, that tailor was doing some work whereby he was using scissors and he was using needle and thread. So whenever there was occasion of cutting the cloth, he used to cut with the scissors and he used to keep the scissor down. And whenever he wanted to stitch with the needle and thread, he would just stitch it and put that needle in his cap here. So he observed that for a while, and then he asked, Dad, why you are doing all this thing? So naturally, the actual reason was that the scissors he could have kept somewhere, it could have hurt, and therefore is keeping down because it cannot be kept anywhere. And similarly, the needle was to be kept here because if he keeps on the table, it would not be found. That would have been the actual reason for that. But father explained it, in a very different manner. Father explained him that, this is how is the position of yours in world at large. If you are a person who makes the attachment, who makes the people together like needle, your position in the community will always be on the top. And if you try to cut people, your position will always be on the down. This is how father explained the child, though actual things were different. But see, this is a fact. If we see in our own life, what is the reputation of the person who is trying to, having breaking the relations with others, trying to say something negative of others, will always have a little bit lower, respect for that person. At the same time, if you have somebody who is bridging the gaps, who is helping people, who is trying to maintain relationships, what will be his position in your whatever thing? You have a little bit higher respect. So this is what is how the relationships are. So try and be some help to people to maintain the relations, to increase the relationship. We have seen so many things, where we have to have that relationships being maintained and developed on a very, very regular basis. This helps a lot for our mental peace also. Just imagine you have a fight. I'll give one example about this, mental peace. Once it so happens that a young gentleman bought a brand new car, and he just, parked the car outside the house, and he wanted to give this good news to his family, his wife, and so he went inside. Wife was there inside doing some work. So he said, "Come out, I want to show." The wife said, "Wait for some time, I'm just finishing my whatever, household work, and we'll go and see the car." By that time, a young son of that gentleman, he went out and he had a hammer in his hand. And very young child, he was not knowing anything, so he just went and started hammering the car, and there was dent in the car. By the time the husband and wife came out, they saw that this young kid is hammering and he's put dent in the car. He was so upset, he was so angry that brand new car, and this kid has really made mess out of all these things, and he was out of his anger and brains lost, and he immediately took that hammer and put that hammer on his hand of the child very, very strongly in that anger, without realizing that what harm is making. And then suddenly, after some time, maybe after a few minutes, he realized that he has damaged the hand of his son in such a way that he has to rush him to the hospital. When he goes to the hospital, the doctor says that the finger bone has been damaged in such a way, we'll try to repair it, but we are not sure whether we'll be able to repair it to the fullest extent. Now just imagine what happened. This car, yes, it was new, everything was good, but the temper which he lost, will he be able to bring that finger of his son back? And he really understood that and had a great repentance that no, this is something repent. But now there was no solution for that. Things are already been done. So what we have to learn from this is that to maintain our relations, don't lose your head. Anger is something where everything would be lost, and try to see that whatever issues which you have there, you don't react to that issues, because when you react, you have an immediate reaction. But instead of reaction, have you respond to that situation. So had this gentleman, instead of reacting, what he did, he was just took the hammer and hammered his son's head. Had he been responded to that, probably he would have understood that yes, this has been done wrongly. He would have maybe scolded his son. He would have tried to make him understand that this should have not done. Maybe he could have taken car to garage and repaired it. So you have to understand the difference between the reaction and the response. So any situation where you are, see that you do not react, but you respond. The difference between the reaction and the responding is, when reaction, you have an immediate action without applying your brains to that. While when I talk about responding, you understand the situation, apply your mind to it, and then you respond and see the difference. So this becomes very crucial for each and every relationship. Do not give an immediate reaction for any sort of situation. Just be calm and cool, because that will give you lot of thought that what are the other reasons, what are the other results this situation could be taking into. And if you just react, it would be only impulsive without even giving any thought. So this is what is very, very important, being patient. Again, being patient is something which is very important in maintaining relations. Again, a small story. Once, there was a king. He went to a war, and after the war, he saw, huge amount, a number of, his soldiers were injured, and he was not able to accept it. And he was really very angry for each and every shortest thing. He was very, very short tempered, and the queen was really afraid. He said someday, he would be, either he will go mad or he will make all of us mad. What to do? She was also trying to react that, okay, if the king is doing something wrong, she would also, then someone in the kingdom said, there is some guru who has come, why don't you consult him? So she went to the guru and said, this is the situation, what can be done? So the guru says, I have a solution for that, but what I would be requiring is, I would require a whisker of a live tiger. That tiger ki mooch hoti hai, wo chahiye mujhe. I'll make a kada out of that, putting various other ingredients, and then everything would be good. So now live tiger getting a whisker was a very tough thing. So then queen was very intelligent. So he tried to find out, where is the tiger in nearby place. Somebody said that in this gufa that tiger is there, and so what she did, she prepared a ball of meat and gradually went to that gufa. And she saw when that tiger was not around, she put that ball of meat near the gufa, and she, again came out of that and went to the. This continued for a couple of months. Gradually, tiger also was trying to understand that who is putting this on a daily basis. So he then gradually realized that, okay, this is a lady. So he would also wait. Lady would keep the bowl and she will go back, and he would take. So gradually that distance was reducing, and the lady was so patient that in 3 months she was able to make friendship with the tiger. And then she requests tiger, can I have this one mooch kabal? Tiger said, yes, no problem, you can take it. And she took it, and then she takes it to that sadhu and says, yes, here it is. So sadhu said, how did you do it? Please explain it to me. So she said, this is how I did it. I gave a lot of patience. Every day I used to go there and wait, and then gradually I had a good rapport with the tiger, and then I did it. So now you prepare a kada for me. So the sadhu said, now you don't require kada. Now you know art of how to tame your husband, who is so hot, who is having very short tempered. So you know how to handle. When you can handle a tiger, handling a human being is not a problem for you. You now start handling your husband. And I think in next 6 months she was able to handle her husband very well, and her husband was back to normal. So in maintaining these relations, patience is very, very important. Most of our we are very, very impatient. As I said, we just react, we don't respond. Once it so happened, that this sort of thing, a short-tempered person was there, and he went to uh, the sage sadhu that this is what is, and I am really not able to understand what to do, how to do. He said, okay, fine, no problem. I'll give you some exercise to do. So he said, okay, now daily what you do is take one nail and put it in a tree. He said, okay, fine, I'll be able to do that. So he does that for 15 days. And by 15 days, he has not to react, garam nahi hone ka, very clear, because he was very, very, and he would speak anything without understanding what is happening, how it is happening, whether other person is hurt, not hurt. He will not bother about all this. Gradually, it reduced. So then that sadhu tells that person that, okay, now what you do is whatever nails which you have put in the tree, take out all that nails. Oh, fine, no problem. I'll be able to do that. So he takes out all the nails and shows, see, I've taken out all the nails. Excellent. Or sadhu says, can you see all these holes in the tree? Yes. So what happened is nail is gone inside and gone outside. Nothing. You have felt nothing about it. But this particular whatever nails are there inside these holes, they would remain permanently. So same thing happens in your relationship. When you speak anything and everything without understanding, without impromptu reply, impromptu responses, you may say anything and you feel that other person should not be worried about it. But the hurt which is happening at the heart is something which is not repairable. And therefore you have to understand, if this is what is happening to your all near and dear ones, when you start speaking, when you start talking to anything, when you criticize each and every person, this is what is happening. So stop doing all these things, and see, so many things would come in place and your relationship would be absolutely great. So these are a few of the things which I thought would be of great relevance for maintaining the relations. We have still 30 more minutes with us. So if we have some queries online, we can take online, or maybe I can give you some further examples about compromise, commitment, about appreciation, attention, politeness, positivity. So can we have some questions, or maybe participants here, if they want to discuss something, we can discuss something, or maybe your experiences, if they are there, we can take up some experiences of yours.
So there's one question on.
Yeah, you can say, Premal, the question. I'll repeat that question.
So it says how to maintain good relationship with auditee. That's what somebody's asked in the chat.
Oh, excellent. So this is a professional question. Now, generally, when we talk about auditor and auditee, auditor is always an fault-finding person. Generally, auditee never likes auditor. The reason is that what is the work of auditor? कि जो गलत किया वो सब आके चिट्ठा जाके खोल देता है. So naturally, when we saw that when you criticize somebody, the person is not liking, that why is criticizing me. So naturally, auditee will not like the auditor. So that is the question, that how do I maintain the relationship with the auditee as an auditor? So simple. First of all, every person is wanting to know what is the best he can get out of everything, whatever is there in front of him. So first important thing, which as an auditor, I have to make him understand that I am here not as an hurdle to your work, but I'll be helpful to your work. This is the first thing which in your initial meetings you have to convince him. That yes, as a regulatory part, I'll have to do so many things, right? But that is regulator, and we'll have to do it. There is no option for that. But what is an advantage of doing that? Like say, for example, a tax audit. I just example of a tax audit. I'm doing a tax audit. I'll find hundreds of problems with whatever audits are there, and I'll be giving a big query sheet. He said, so the auditor would say, kya itna bada query nikalta hai ye? At that point of time, I have to explain him that what is advantage here. Because when I'm putting that 100 queries, probably there would be numerous queries which, if at all they are not probably attended properly, there would be huge amount of penalty that would come. There is possibility that books of accounts may be rejected for whatever reasons. Maybe the auditor would reject, or maybe the income tax department would reject. Now, if he is make to understand that if there are so many things which otherwise would have attracted huge penalty, probably he would have understood that yes, here is a gentleman who is trying to help me, and once you make him convinced that whatever you are doing is for his advantage, I think he will automatically start cooperating with you. And once he cooperates, I think नाराजगी सब निकल गई, and he will be rather now be after you that please tell me where is that I'm lacking, and also tell me that in future I should not make these mistakes. I means not me, not necessarily me, my team. How should I improve in my businesses? How can I minimize the errors which are happening? So maybe this sort of things, if we continuously have communication with the auditing, that would make a lot of difference. And here I'm talking about the main person in the auditing. It could be director, it could be CFO, whosoever you feel is the key person. The communication has to be on this aspects with this top person, because if he is happy, people all down the line would be happy with you, and they will cooperate with you in a great way. Not only they will cooperate, they will wait for your suggestions. Whatever suggestions you are making, they would be taken it positively, and then whatever relations which you have to build up with the auditing would always go on the next level. I think this is what can be a good way of convincing the auditing that whatever I am doing is for your good. I think that could be the way you can talk to the auditing.
Sir, Jairaj sir has asked, how does one ensure to follow the tips that will? It may be easier to understand with the anecdotes given by you, but difficult to practice persistently so that these become good habits.
Fine. So I think excellent question, because all of us have this habit, very correctly said. It is my habit, like I said, you don't react, you respond. Now to change this behavior of mine, it will take a lot of time. Up till now, what was happened is I never made a checklist that where is the scope of improvement. I would suggest make a SWOT analysis, right? From today's discussion, where is the improvement required? Put it in black and white, right? Here are my weakness, and here are the opportunities, here are the threats. And then see how I can improve on these weaknesses, where are the opportunities of, and what are the threats. Make a list of it, and then each particular drawback which you feel, which are deficiency in yourself, where you feel that there is a scope of improvement, make a proper timetable of that okay, this is the deficiency which I have found out, this is how I will improve, and also make a very clear cut roadmap with the time limit. So the example which I am giving, say for example, I am a very short tempered person. I said, you should not react, you should respond. Yes, as you rightly said, very easy to say, but then how do you do it? Overnight the change will not happen, but at least now you understand that this reaction is not good. And believe me, each one of us have that inner ability to understand that when I'm getting angry, I get a very small nanosecond, I would know that I'm getting angry. Now, this is the time where you have to spot that, yes, I am getting angry. And then there are 10 ways of seeing how to control anger. There are various books which are available. Maybe you can control that anger, and this reaction would gradually become responding. And this is how you improve on yourself. You, if at all you are there, give me any particular uh, uh, observation that this is where how I should do that. Each and every key which we have given here, we can have a separate session, or I can give you immediately understanding on how this can be implemented. As rightly said, it is very easy to say but very difficult to implement. Yes, difficult to implement, but at least let us start it. Once you start it, I think it is not very difficult. All of us are going to various pilgrimage, and when we start the pilgrimage, we say, oh my God, so many steps, 500 steps, 1000 steps, 2000 steps, कैसे चढ़ेंगे? But somewhere you have to start. एक पगला भरोगे तो दूसरा, तीसरा, चौथा step, and then gradually you'll go there. Those all of us are professionals. When we started our profession, हम पहले ही पेपर में डर जाते तो काम नहीं होता. Somewhere we have that ability to overtake our deficiencies. Not necessarily all subjects you will master, right? कोई सब्जेक्ट अच्छा लगता था, कोई सब्जेक्ट बुरा लगता था. In spite of that, we saw to it that we studied all the subject and we got appropriate marks to pass, right? So each and every example which I gave is possible, and I can say why it is possible, because this is where I have told people that this is how you can improve. And maybe after 2 years, 3 years, people have come and called, not only the people who have attended, people who are there of their family members, their offices, the family members come and tell us, sir, what have you done? My father has changed substantially. Now what my father was 3 days back, today what he is a huge difference. Why? Because he started understanding that here are my deficiencies and here I require my improvement, and he started improving. He went and said sorry to his granddaughter, and that was a change. Now everybody started feeling comfortable talking to this gentleman, that okay, now we don't have to fear, he will not scold us. And the relationship improved to a very great extent. So nothing what we have discussed here is impossible. Yes, it is difficult, but any difficulty which is there, somewhere you have to make a beginning. And once you make a beginning, I think absolutely there is no problem for us, and especially us. When I'm saying I'm talking about the professionals, because we professionals are, as I said in beginning, we adapt to any changes, we adapt to any new things very fast. And our profession has taught that. I have given the examples. Maybe few years back, I would say 10 years back or 15 years back, we just had one computer in our offices, and everything was manual. Today if you see, without computer nothing is happening. See the change which you adapted. Now if you can adapt to that change, you realize that change is required. Once you realize that change is required, I think it would not be difficult for us as a professional.
In fact, as professionals, we keep on learning, relearning, and unlearning.
Correct. So Premal is saying this is what we have in profession, right from the day one, we have to unlearn, learn, and relearn. Because our profession is such where it is not that Income Tax Act 1961 means 1961 से वही वो का वही रहा है. रोज नए notification, रोज नए कुछ ना कुछ, and we have to unlearn so many things. We have to learn and relearn. Absolutely right, Premal.
The other question is, if the other person does not understand our perspective or perception on a continuous basis, how does the relationship stand in such scenario? Because then only one thing is understanding short stroke compromising.
Correct. I think I have already addressed this issue. Let me just go back to the situation about when I said about having agreement in all the situations, right? So either I convince him or he convinces me, then agreement happens. If we do not agree on a particular thing, let us agree on disagreement. I would say agree or disagreement maybe is a temporary phenomenon. I don't say permanently leave it, right? So have that patience, you know, and try to convince him every time, and with that particular parameters, discuss, debate, argument, stop, leave it. Again, maybe thereafter, again you say. See, I'll give you one example of putting nail in the wall with a hammer. Now that nail, when you hammer it in the wall, will not go inside the wall in the first hammer. You will have to make it, hammer it for the 20 times, then it will go inside the wall. Now, when you are hammering it for the 20 times, that does not mean only the 20th hammer was responsible for going the nail into wall. It was because that first 19 hammer happened. In the 20th hammer, the nail went inside the wall. And therefore, keep on continuously trying. Automatically, someday, either he will realize or someday you will realize. So I'm not saying that always the other person will change. It is possible that you may also change, right? Keep that options open. Again, very important thing is that whatever you are disagreeing, see the percentage of all the agreements you are having. When you have in a relationship, whatever relationship, it cannot be that you are disagreeing 100%. There are so many things which you are into agreement. So just concentrate on that particular thing. That okay, we are agreeing on 90% things, 10% chalega, chalayenge hum. And when you accept it, I think things are different. You know, our relationship, when we talk about with people, it is like a package. You have to accept relationship like a package. It cannot be choose and pick. तो मुझे यार इसकी ये 10 चीज अच्छी लगती है, लेकिन ये 2 आदतें इसकी बुरी है. I don't accept it. But then a person is coming to you as a package. So you should have an habit of honeybee and not an fly. I'll just again give you a small story of this honeybee and fly. Now all of us have seen honeybees. What they do? They take out nectar of the flower without disturbing the flower, right? And they would go to the flower only, right? And that flower could be anywhere. It could go miles for that flower, but it would go to that flower and suck the nectar for it. Now compared with this fly, the fly the fly which we see around, that fly is having a habit of going to garbage. If there is whole garden of roses, that fly will not go on that roses. It will go into that garbage only. So that is their way of doing it. So we have to be something like an honeybee, where in a person who is a package, try to find out nectar it from it, and don't try to find out the garbage part of it. If you are trying to find out the garbage part of it, you are like a fly who is just trying to see the deficiency in each and every person. यार ये आदमी में ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, ये नहीं है. So nobody is perfect. There could be n number of deficiencies. So concentrate on the good things of a person and leave about the deficiencies. Gradually, you will be used to that, because nobody is perfect, right? Now coming to your observation about compromise. Now there could be a temporary compromise. Again, when I'm talking about compromise, I'm not talking about tolerating. This is what I said. I'm talking about coexistence. Right? When you talk about coexistence, your mindset is then not about compromise. Your mindset accepts it कि ये तो इधर ऐसा चलेगा, ऐसा ही करना पड़ेगा. Like if in India, if in Bombay, I say कि बने मुझे तो ट्रेन खाली चाहिए. सारे दुनिया में ट्रेन कैसी एयर कंडीशन ट्रेन होती है, मस्त खाली होती है, मुझे ऐसा ही चाहिए. But now that is not possible in India. This भीड़ भाड़ और ट्रेन, ये है वो कोएग्जिस्ट है बॉम्बे में, इसको हम अलग नहीं कर सकते. सो नाउ वी हैव एक्सेप्टेड इट. अभी हम उसके लिए ज्यादा चिल्लम चिल्ली नहीं करते हैं. ट्रैफिक भी एक्सेप्टेड इट. टुडे यू सी लास्ट फ्यू डेज there is huge amount of air pollution which is happening now in Bombay. It is happening today, so therefore we are still making big hue and cry. In Delhi this is happening every year. People have accepted that they coexist कि ये पीरियड में तो ये होगा ही होगा. So somewhere your mindset has to change, And then I don't say that you permanently change yourself, but temporarily, at least once you change, your mental imbalance will not be there. मतलब you will not get disturbed by that. यार ये हर बार ऐसे ही करता है, because now you have started accepting कि ये तो ऐसा ही करेगा, right? अगर ये ऐसा नहीं करेगा, then you should be disturbed. Once you start accepting that, and then I don't say that you leave your efforts for changing that. You start continuously started, जैसा मैंने कहा, जो कीला हमको दीवार में डालना है, the nail which you want to put in on the wall, थोड़ा मारते रहो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आहिस्ता, कभी नेल तो वॉल में चली जाएगी. So do that, and then you will not feel like a compromise thing. You will feel that you are making a lot of effort, and also that coexistence thing would be there.
So, given that technological changes are here to stay, some of them are good, some of them are bad. And as every coin has to both the sides. But how do we ensure that modern day generation is made aware of the importance of relations? Because at the end of the day, that is one of the most integral parts.
So I'll just repeat the question, if probably since So the question here is that how do we make realize the modern generation, or I would say current generation, the younger generation, importance of the relationship? I think that is the question, right? So Premal, I think, as I said, the younger generation is much cleverer than the current, and this is universal. So the definition of relationship for you and definition for relationship for the younger generation is different. First, you have to understand that, because what we believe relationship and what they believe is relationship is different. Now, if you talk about younger generation, they have a different type of relationships, and these relationships, if I would say, they are being maintaining excellently well. They have different modes of maintaining the relationship. I may have, our generation, what friends you had, what relationship you had, it would be few hundreds. If you see the younger generation, the relationship which they have is huge, and see how they are utilizing these relationships. The internet has been used so appropriately, and see the way they are using this, like Twitter, they know so many things, about the world, and they have so many contacts. They may not have a direct contact, but this indirect contacts, and they are able to use this sort of technology very fast. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they know so many things, and they have maintained and developed their relationships over a period of time. For us, the relationship is different, because we believe in that relationship which are maybe having face-to-face relationship, personal relationships. We are only for that relationship. They have many indirect relationships. So the definition of relationship for us and the newer generation is different. Somewhere we'll have to make a bridge. We have to understand what is their relationship, and also make them understand. It will take some time, that what is your meaning of relationship. But as I said, they are sharp enough, they will understand it, and I'm sure their relationship, there I would say, uh, uh, the connectivity is far more good than what we have the connectivity, because they have huge amount of their friends, their colleagues, who they may not meet daily, who may not have their daily, but if the time comes, this all kids, they come together, their youngsters come together, and they give a lot of support to each other. This is what is my observation. So yes, relationship with the younger generation, I don't think it is very difficult. Only thing is, the different perception has to be understood by both the generations, and the relationship would be better.
So my question is on a professional front.
Yeah.
When we work in best teams,
Hmm.
there are often conflicts between the teammates. So how do we cope up with that?
So the question here is, when in professional front, we work as a team member. And in team members, there are a lot of conflicts. And how do I, manage that conflicts? I think that is the question,
Yes.
right? Okay. Again, I think the conflicts have to happen, because you cannot live a life without conflict. Because when you talk about working in a team in a professional this assignments, actually this in the professional assignment people come from different walks of life, so they have different background, different thought processes, and different mindsets. So naturally there has to be conflict, because in our own house, at personal level, though we come from the same background, we stay in the same place, we stay in the same house, in spite of that there are conflicts. Why? Because each individual is a different individual, right? So when you have a conflicts at home, naturally there are bound to be conflicts at the workplace. Now what are these conflicts and why are these conflicts? So the conflicts are with only one major thing, is that I am expecting somebody to behave or to work like this, and therefore there is a conflict, because he is not working, he is not behaving, he is not doing the things the way I want, he is not acting as per my perception, and because of that there is a conflict. And this is there with both, right? So we have already seen when this sort of conflicts are there, we have seen some ways of doing it. First and foremost is, I should be open myself, that when there is a conflict, naturally there is a difference of opinion. I give an example of prism being there on the table, and when a sun ray is coming, somebody is seeing violet, somebody is seeing yellow, somebody is seeing orange, right? Now do we call that a conflict? That is not a conflict. That is the way you are looking at the things from where you are. So it is your angle of thinking. Now your angle of thinking, whether it is right or wrong, is only known to you. Whether his angle of thinking is right or wrong, once you go to his side, think in that direction, and you will get a lot of solutions, right? So when I say violet and yellow, because I am getting yellow, I will not say it is yellow only. Let me go to his side, I will also see violet, and then where is the conflict, right? So try and understand the conflict from the other side. And once you find out the root cause of the conflict, I think the solution would be very easy. We have already seen the solution: communication. Sit with him, try to say that your view is this, my view is this, and then the process. The process is discuss. You have debate, you have argument. Stop there. No heated arguments. Start again. Somewhere you will reach to agreement. And we have seen what agreement. Either you convince him, or he convinces you, or you agree on disagreement. I think the conflict is gone. This is how you can address any sorts of conflicts. And all these things which we studied, अपना ego बाजू में रखो. ऐसा मत सोचो कि मैं ही सही हूँ, सामने वाला भी सही हो सकता है. और at times, as I said, you have to accept the other person as a package. उसमें आप ये नहीं भूल सकते हो कि ये गलत चीजों में इसकी एक्सेप्ट नहीं करता हूँ, मैं सिर्फ ये सही चीज एक्सेप्ट करूंगा. And for that you have to have that be, and you cannot be fly. बी मतलब सिर्फ अच्छे गुण देखो लोगों में, बुरे गुण भूल जाओ, and automatically the conflicts will be